Security in retail. Everybody is vulnerable to a hacker. A comprehensive cybersecurity program needs to go significantly beyond the traditional application of general information technology security concepts to successfully protect an organization's data and system. To ensure that all aspects of an organization's cybersecurity are protected from potential adversaries and incidents, a cybersecurity program that implements a defense-in-depth approach is necessary. I am the Wizard of Pause. When people think about security, the first thing they think about is technology, usernames and passwords, for example. But there are actually three pieces to this puzzle. The people part of the security dome is probably the weakest link. A general lack of security awareness leads people to pick weak passwords and to share those passwords with others, making it easier for dedicated adversaries to identify and use them. Process is the third part of the triumvirate. Operational processes need to be in place to continually observe and manage how people implement and use technology. Lack of sound, repeatable security processes can lead to security holes. All three of them together comprise what is necessary for good security. In this video, all we're going to have time for is being able to talk about the technology domain. When data transfers through the ecosystem, there are three places where it's vulnerable. Each of them are assaulted in different ways. First, there is data in motion. That refers to the data being transmitted from one endpoint to another. Once data reaches an endpoint, it becomes available for use by an application and is often temporarily stored in memory in order to be accessed, and this is referred to as data in memory. Data at the end is finally stored somewhere. This storage is simply called data at rest. When we look at the data in motion, there are various areas where it is potentially vulnerable, starting with the session, and that is a connection from one end to the other. Basically, it says, who are you and can you connect to me? It's typically controlled by an access control list. The next level is the role layer, and this is where username and passwords come into play. Every connection needs a good, secure login of its own, so you don't replicate what's going on and make it more difficult for hackers to get into. Sessions and roles together comprise the authentication layer to authenticate that you are who you say you are and you have the right to connect to me. The next level is the message level. This is to make sure that the message that I sent is actually the message that you received and it hasn't been changed somewhere in the middle. The innermost layer is the data. This is the information like credit card numbers or social security numbers that one must absolutely guarantee are not compromised. Together, the messages and the data comprise the integrity of the message and help one make sure that they get the right information to the right people. So as you can see, security is complicated and there are lots of places where hackers can try to get into your system to get that information that they're looking for. So what are some of the attack methods hackers use to try to get into your systems? We'll start with the most famous one, and that is the attack at a target. IoT devices need to be included in your corporate strategy for security. The target hack came through an air conditioning unit. They got into the system, and once in the system, they distributed malware to the various point-of-sale systems. That malware then sent the point-of-sale information out to a computer external to the company from which the hacker then got his information. So what were the hackers looking for? Well, in this case, they're looking for data in memory. This is when the authorization information is stored in memory in clear text in order to speed up the authorization process. So let's move around the circle a little bit. The next one deals with skimming, which is related to authorizations in that the hacker puts a skimming device over the credit card in the forecourt system to record your credit card as you swipe it. So as we move around the loop, one of the next ones is phishing. Phishing is where the hacker sends you an email that says that something's wrong with your account and they need access to your information in order to clarify that you are who you say you are. As we continue around, the next one's called man in the middle. This is basically where they sit between your website and your application, and they record any sort of authorizations that go between the two. So let's continue on around. A next attack method, and probably one of the earliest ones, was a brute force method. And that's one where they simply kept assaulting your website with various username and passwords in hopes of finding one that was successful. This has eventually been stopped primarily by having the 3 tries and they lock up your account method. The next one is called phone phreaking. This is very similar to the phishing mechanism, where they simply call you up and tell you that they're from your bank and there's a problem with your account and they need to verify your information. The next one isn't as much an attack method as it is a way to interrupt your business operations, particularly with your internet. And what they simply do is they get a bunch of computers that all try to access your computer simultaneously. And they get it so busy responding to them they can't respond to legitimate inquiries. This is just a sample of the way that hackers try to get into your system to gather information for nefarious reasons. There are a lot more, and this is just to give you the idea that you need to worry about all of the various stack vulnerabilities that were discussed in the previous slide. So with all of these access points, what can I do? Well, here's a few recommendations on how to deal with all of this. So first, let's start with the sessions. You can start with making sure you've got a clean access control list. One of the problems with this is when people leave, they leave their access control on there, and eventually you end up with a lot of dead accounts. So if you clean those up, that's going to help. If with respect to IoT devices, if you put them into their own network and then isolate that network from the main network, that would have avoided the target hack. As far as rules go, we've already talked about making sure you have good username and passwords, and you change them on a regular basis. When you talk about messages, make sure you have a good encryption algorithm such as blockchain. When you get down to the data, this is the Social Security and credit card information type thing. Make sure you have a good algorithm for that for the encryption. In addition, you can isolate the credit card system from the rest of the network, similar to what you do for the IoT devices. Now, with data in memory, you want to be able to encrypt the data, but you've got to be careful because this can't take something like a blockchain, which takes a while to decrypt, but you need something that you can do very quickly, but is relatively secure. Now, data at rest is a little more complicated because here you've got information that you want to keep private, like the name of the people, their social security number, and all of that. And you want to keep information that you need relatively quick access to, like maybe the point of sale information. And so you need to be able to separate them into 2 different storage mechanisms. One of them is the short-term storage for like your point of sale data, and then the longer-term storage for information like your customer data. This is just a short-term list of some of the things you can do, and you'll be surprised at how much you improve your system by just executing these few ideas. There are many, many more, and there are many, many more ways of accessing the information illegally. So you have to kind of keep up to date regularly with what's going on. Thank you. I am the Wizard of Pod. My name is Richard Halter. Please check out my book, Art for Retail, using technology to turn your consumers into customers and make a profit. It's available on Kindle. Thank you.